Well, ever since Furukawa acknowledged Nintendo's next system in a post over on X a few days ago, we've just had floodgates of information and speculation come out. So what do we know since then? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And as I mentioned, all this started with this post over on X earlier in this week where it says, "This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March of 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation." So that was sort of Nintendo's first acknowledgement to the general public that yes, they are coming out with a new system, and we'll find out about it sometime this fiscal year. Now, we don't have any hard information yet of when that system is supposed to come out, but most of the experts still think it's going to be in March of 2025. Now, I did see some takes that because Nintendo said in their investor briefing that their estimated sales did not include the successor to the Nintendo Switch, that obviously the successor can't come out until at the earliest April of next year, because that'll be the next fiscal year. However, when you look at the English translation of Furukawa's answer, he just says, "The sales forecast for the current fiscal year does not include the successor to Nintendo Switch." So I think this is one of those cases where we shouldn't be trying to hear what Furukawa doesn't say. They very well can make the announcement for the Switch 2 and then revise some of their forecast of what they expect to sell in the first, quarter that it's released. So that's some of the hard data that we have from Nintendo. Not really a whole lot to go on here, but since then there's been, I guess you could say, some leaked specs for the Nintendo Switch 2. We'll just take a look at the headline here over at VGC. Switch 2 tech specs may have been found in customs and shipping data. Now, I've been following this as it's progressed over on the Famiboards forum, and basically what happened is that they've been tracking shipments of stuff from Nintendo and Nvidia, and over the course of about the past 2 years, they've been able to track down shipments of, say, the Switch OLED and correlate certain numbers in those trackings to being from Nintendo. And then they were able to track parts like an OLED screen and see how that lined up before the release of the Switch OLED. Well, now they've taken what they've learned here and applied it towards the parts that may be in the Switch 2. Now, I will still warn you, this is not a 100% guarantee. However, this does all seem to line up with what they're catching in all this customs information. So from the article here from VGC, it says, one listing is for a 6GB RAM chip, of which 2 will reportedly be used for a total of 12GB of RAM. It's currently unclear whether it will be LPDDR5 or LPDDR5X RAM, but it will reportedly run at speeds of 7,500 million transfers per second. By comparison, the original Switch had 4GB of LPDDR4 RAM, which ran at speeds of up to 3,200 million transfers per second. So looking at the RAM here, that's definitely a good amount of speed there in the 7,500 million transfers per second. Now, we'll warn you, Nintendo does underclock the Switch when it's not docked. So I would imagine the Switch 2 will do the same thing here. And I've seen reports that the Switch 2 could have an OS that could use like 1.5 up to 2 gigs of RAM, so it would still leave like 10 gigs of RAM available for the games. Now let's take a look at the possible storage on the Switch 2. From the article it says, another listing suggests the Switch's built-in storage will be 256 gig and will be UFS 3.1. which means potential read speeds of up to 2100 megabytes per second compared to the original Switch's 32 gigabytes of storage, which peaked around 300 megabytes per second. Now, if you're not familiar with UFS, it stands for Universal Flash Storage, and this is what cell phones currently use. And 2100 megabytes per second is pretty good. To give an example of how this compares, the Xbox Series X and S have a 2.4 gigabyte per second read speed. Now, it'll be hard to do a complete apples-to-apples comparison between the Switch 2 and, say, the Xbox Series systems or the PS5. For one, the Switch 2 is using NVIDIA and ARM architecture, and when you compare that to the Xbox or PlayStation, they're using AMD and x86 type architecture. And as the article here pointed out, the comparisons are not going to be straightforward. However, if these specs that are leaked about the storage and the memory are correct, then this would be quite a bit of a leap ahead of the current Switch. And to just kind of summarize some of the other leaks that we've had out there, again, these are not 100% confirmed, but most of the experts tend to think these are correct. First, the system would have an LCD screen that's supposed to be 8 inches. And the new Joy-Cons are supposed to attach to the system magnetically, and we did see in some of that shipping and customs information references to a magnet. And again, these are parts that Nintendo's stockpiling to get ready for manufacturing, so we don't know for sure if that is being used to connect the Joy-Cons to the new console. The system will be completely backward compatible with original Switch games, both physically and digitally. And even though you can't connect the current Joy-Cons to the new system, they will be compatible with the new one as well as the Pro controllers. Now, when it comes to graphics, the new system should support 4K while docked, as well as DLSS 3.5. And finally, most of the experts are pretty sure that the new system on a chip is going to be the NVIDIA Tegra T239. But let me know your thoughts. Do these specs sound like the Switch 2 is going to be quite a kicker when it comes to gaming? And how much do you think a system with these specs will end up costing? I know Nintendo priced the 3DS way too high and then had to drop the price pretty quickly and give all the players that bought in some free games to go along with that. So do you think Nintendo could be setting up another 3DS type situation where they price the system too high, or do you think they're really going to try to be aggressive here? Drop your comments below and let me know your thoughts. And if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It really does help the channel out quite a bit. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.